My name is Tim Hadley. I graduated Pekin in 1999, and I'm a chaplain in the Iowa Army National Guard. My work as a chaplain is awesome. I always say it's the best job in the Army, and there are lots of great jobs, but I definitely have the best one. Kind of a closed shell. It's just bringing soldiers to God and God to soldiers. There's other parts to it. I do some moral advisement to the commanders. I do a lot of counseling, and overall just helping people through things. You know, everybody gets stuck, and so I like to help people get unstuck. And it's taken me all around the world and all through the United States, and I still get to live in Iowa, so it's pretty cool. When I graduated Pekin, nothing I do now was on my radar. You know, I went to Central College my freshman year, and it was a great experience. I roomed with two of my best buddies, Adam Rosenboom and Matt Askew, and just focused on my studies, but not enough. And I didn't quite end maybe as I should have. And so I took a little break and found some other things. And National Guard, I joined really late. I went to basic training at 38 years old. I would definitely recommend going 20 years earlier. For me, community is everything from the people to my left and right that I was in the foxhole with for the last year, to the people here at home who sent messages or sent care packages. We're in the middle of the desert, and you get that, you open up that box of just goodies. There's nothing like it. You know, it's awesome. So to those people, I say thank you, but also just the people who just support you along the way, just send encouraging messages, say hi, check on you. I think it's anybody in your circle that just cares about you and really doesn't have an agenda for you, just wants what's best for you. And I've always felt that in Pekin, and it's been cool to see that expand beyond. Now we live in a town called Olwine, and we have an Olwine community, and I have a National Guard community. It's just all the circles we're in. It's awesome to see people just love other people. So I was a teacher for 8 years and a principal for 6 years, so 14 total years at Pekin, including the 12, I guess, that I went to school here, but maybe 13. It was so amazing. I had so many awesome staff members, and it was really interesting to go from student to teacher to principal in the same building, because I eventually had those teachers I was a student under, and then I was their peer, and then I was their leader, and it was kind of interesting. There's still people who I call Mr. and Mrs. that I'll never call them by their first name. Mr. Idol, everybody calls him David. He'll always be Mr. Idol to me. You know, he's my teacher. It was awesome being a part of it, and then seeing my kids got to go through here. Eventually, you know, again, we moved, but seeing them have some of those same teachers, and my dad, it's so cool, the generational difference that Pekin makes.
175 middle school students here at Pekin Middle School, but the principal and one sixth grader have a special bond.
Going to my first class, and I had someone walk by me and say, "Well, you look like you have cancer." And I'm just like, actually, I am not the one who has cancer. I did this because my grandpa had cancer.
That's why when Principal Tim Hadley heard Jackson went home upset, he took things into his own hands.
I sent Mom a message. I said, "Do you still have the clippers?" And she said, "Yeah." I said, "Can you send them with Jackson tomorrow?"
Like, is he going to threaten the other kid with the clippers?
Oh, Jackson got a haircut here.
He sat everyone down and asked Jackson to come up front.
Oh, yeah, I can feel that one now. I can feel the haircut.
And right there, he shaved Hadley's head.
Get the front. You gotta get the front. There you go.
That's what they call Pekin pride.
Probably the #1 principal ever.
Now the hair will grow back, but the memory will stick with these two for a lifetime.
That video with Jackson still touches people today, and that's been, I don't know, 7 or 8 years ago. It's been a while. Jackson has since graduated from Southeastern Community College, and he's a welder now, and that experience, I can't tell you just how amazing it was. Originally, it was truly only for like those 200 people in that room, and then someone caught it on video and they posted it, and then before long my phone was just blowing up. But I think it resonates for a lot of reasons. One, I think you know, almost everybody knows somebody who's had cancer or who's battled that. It's such a terrible disease. I just went to the funeral for Jerry Griner, a man who I respect and just loved in our community. He was definitely a mentor, and I had his kids when I was here, and I think about just too many people gone too soon. So I think it's that. And then I think it also resonates with people maybe who have had challenges in school, right? Everybody should be supported, regardless of where they come from, what they've done, or where they're going. And I think that's what's hit people. It's been a blessing, and I'm so thankful to have been a part of it. I see a lot of teachers, new educators, burn out really quickly. And I think the challenge is they don't get to be in it long enough to see people like you or others who have graduated that are not just that kid in middle school anymore, or have gone on. I've gotten to like baptize my students' babies, you know, like, or I've got to do their weddings, or I've got to, you know, attend lots of their events, or see them graduate college, or get that job, or join the military. And how do I feel like I've impacted? I hope I've had a small role in some of that. I'm not naive enough to think, you know, it's huge, but I think every little bit matters and every little contribution matters. So to anybody out there, I would just say, never underestimate the power that you might have, or the ripple of good that you can do with just one small act of kindness. The people like Sue Ann Dickey here, right? Like Mrs. Dickey was my second grade teacher. I just remember her just being just so kind. But then my daughter had Sue Ann for her last year, and Sue Ann was the same amazing person like years later that she was for me. And just to have my daughter, and now my daughter goes to Wartburg, and Sue Ann's daughter-in-law is my daughter's advisor. I don't realize the connections you're going to make and where they're going to go. And I think people who are unkind, I think they're just missing out on an opportunity to just see so much kindness in others. You never know where there's connections to go. It's so fun to see that kid who I knew was like a joker or kind of a class clown in middle school, and now he's leading a group of infantrymen like across, you know, this giant exercise or into a country. And it's mind-blowing. And I want to tell people, like, man, you should have seen it. I don't, but like, it's been such a blessing. And so, yeah, I think to the impact, I hope it's been something that's you know, and challenge other people to be beyond what they are today. I had so many influences while I was here. Like, I feel like I would even leave some out. But we had a phenomenal football team. We won a state championship my senior year. We got runner-up my junior year. I think the only game we ever lost was my junior year. Like, all the way from Brian Marley in middle school to Tom Stone in high school, we only lost one game. But it wasn't about the wins and losses. It was about the brotherhood. And I didn't realize that until I went to college and met other people who like played sports and did things, but they didn't really talk about their colleagues or friends. And it was like I said, I roomed with two guys that I went to school with, and people were just drawn to us. Like, we didn't party, we didn't do things. We were just us, but people just wanted to hang out with us. Like, our room was always full and always busy. I think people saw the connection we had and that small town Pekin feel that just other people didn't have. That I would do a disservice to even mention the many people, but you know, everybody from Art Sadoff, you know, who inspired my English writing and as an educator and a minister, you know, Frosty Van Voorst, who was my 7th grade math teacher, but then he was a you know, pastor at the church that I eventually got to help pastor here in Packwood. You know, Justin Lamb, I had his kids later on. You know, the Whitrocks, I had their kids too, and got to teach with them. I mean, just tons of people that I don't know, top to bottom, it was phenomenal. 2 master's degrees, and I can't explain, you know, just how influential this little town and this little community in this school meant and shaped who I am and gave me confidence to go out. Something that I'll never forget, and he probably doesn't even remember this exercise. I'm sure I don't remember a lot of things. It's probably good that I don't remember the things I did as a teacher. I remember my freshman year, I came in, and I was a little nervous. Even though it's just across the playground, it's still different. You know, it's another building. And, you know, I knew Mr. Lamb from, you know, we started football camp, so I knew him as a coach. But I came in, and it was an early exercise and an intro to ag. And for some reason, he gave us all named, like, I don't know, cards with things on them that you held up to your head. And then you had to, like, talk about something, and mine just had like inspiring or something on it. And whenever I talk, people always lean forward and listen. And I remember that feeling. And afterwards, and one of them had like ignore, so you ignore that person. And I got to see, you know, like how people treat you and how to interact. But I just remember that feeling of people leaning forward. And I eventually that year went on to do state speech contest for FFA. I did some of their ag entries, and I remember just that feeling. And now I speak in front of people all the time. And I honestly can't, I have Justin to thank for pushing me into, he didn't even know it, but giving me the confidence to speak in front of people. And it's led me to, I don't know, just being able to hopefully inspire people all over the world. So it's been awesome. I would say to myself, as a graduating senior, don't worry about other people's perceptions. Just be open to the world around you. You know, go forth confidently in your dreams. So Mr. Witzenberg was like, he and Mr. Rohash, like, I don't know how you've find better math teachers. Maybe Mrs. Hadley, she's probably going to watch, I better say it, right? Mrs. Hadley, my wife, great math teacher. Mr. Witz, I just remember like he had a way of breaking things down that nobody else could do. And I love this trigonometry class, which sounds weird, but you know, he would describe angles and we did graphs, and I think I liked it because you would work with your hands, and I get busy. So, but one thing I thought life was going to be was like this graph that just went like this, right? Like this straight line. And if I could go back, I would tell myself, life is maybe more like this, right? There's some low lows. You know, we had right out of high school, one of my best friends, Clint Sarin, passed away from a motorcycle accident like that next year, and that was a low point, you know, just. And everything's cruising along, and then just like that, right? Clint's gone, you know, a guy that you just loved and you spent time with, and then high highs, right? Then I go on to get married, and I have kids, and life is just this thing. I would tell myself, it's God's in both, people are in both, and both are okay. The only thing that's not okay is to not be okay. Like, go find help if you're not okay. Find a way, like I said earlier, to get unstuck. But I would definitely just say it's not a straight line, and that's okay. Like, everybody's got their journey. Just follow your journey. This is all free. I won't charge you for any of it. Yeah. No, I'm just kidding. The next time, no, I'm just kidding. I don't know if you can even air it. It's illegal. But I have a lot of great memories. Just dudes hanging out, right? But sometimes dudes hanging out still need things to do. So we found ourselves going out and doing just kind of weird, silly stuff. So I remember one day, and I don't even think it exists now, as we're coming up this road to Pekin, there was like a sting operation. They were pulling people over, and they had an airplane in the sky that would measure from one white line to the next white line, and then that's how they would know people were speeding, and they were just directing them off, and they were just writing tickets like left and right. I didn't get a ticket, but a couple of my buddies did, and I was like, hey guys, what if we just made more white lines so they can't tell where it was? So one night at like 2 a.m., we get my buddies, I won't say his name, I was going to out him, but I'll just out myself. But he had a brand new Dodge Ram, and back in the 90s, Dodge Ram just changed their style. So this was like really awesome, and he had worked really hard. He works for his dad, and a local farmer, and so we grab his Dodge Ram, we get a paint roller, and we get the paint, and a bunch of us are painting lines like crazy. So we paint a whole bunch of them all the way down this highway. I'm sure they're not there still, or I hope not. But I get in, and I slap the truck, let's go, and he guns it, and the paint can tips over, and it goes all over the back of this dude's brand new black truck, and it's white paint. And I'm like, oh my gosh. So then we spend the next like 5 hours till like 5 or 6 a.m. And of course, we all live on farms, so my parents never gave me a curfew, but Joe Hadley was like, if you get home, you do chores at 5 a.m. So I got straight from that right into doing chores until like all day long, and I'd never slept that night. I don't know if it was worth it. I tell myself I saved people lots of money. They didn't get tickets. We did a community service that day. My buddy would probably disagree because he wasn't ever happy that his truck had paint all over it. So, you know, everybody talks about kids today, right? Kids today are awesome. Like, they're still amazing. It's still the land of opportunity. I can tell you firsthand, I just spent the last 9.5 months, almost a year total being gone, but 9.5 months in Syria. And it's a country that's been war-torn for the last 50 years. And I watch kids, when we would drive by in our convoys, and all of our armor and all the things, there are kids out there with you know, rags on, and it's 10 a.m. and they should be in school, 7, 8 years old, and they're walking around barefoot through a barren desert. You know, that's not this, right? The poorest person in America is still rich beyond 90% of the rest of the world. I've had a chance to travel to a lot of other countries with this work, and I've done missionary work outside of that, outside of my military experience. And it's still the land of opportunity. You can still do the things you want to do. You just have to have a work ethic, and Pekin kids do, Iowa kids do. I was telling my wife on the way down here, I was recalling the amount of people in education that have come from Pekin. It's crazy. Not even just educators here, but like there are superintendents, principals, teachers. Like, I mean, I could name hundreds and entire families that have gone on from here. And I think it's the mentality of one, just give back in some way, and two, just love others, you know. And I think if you do those things, if you're willing to give out, you're always going to get more than you give. If you're willing to love others, it's always going to be returned back to you. So I would just tell those people, just do those two things. Everything else comes, right? Eventually you got to eat, get a job, right? Work hard. The hardest workers come from Iowa, man. If you go to basic training, they love Midwest kids. Like, if you tell them you're from Iowa, you're automatically in a leadership position, whether you want it or not. You're probably doing more push-ups than everybody else, but like they know, like they recognize. And when I was over there, Iowa was the lead group. We were the last boots on ground in Syria for the United States Army, and we were the leaders of these 3 giant bases. And I flew from base to base to base, and it was all Iowa guys doing the work, and everybody else just looked to Iowa to like set the tone. These were active duty guys and special forces and everything all fell under Iowa, and they all talked about the leadership difference of, so don't ever be ashamed of coming from Iowa. There's great things here. Take the work ethic and just go out and make a difference. I don't know about you, but I'm not doing the things I thought I was going to do, and that's okay. Be adaptable to change. It's not about what you learn in these doors. It's about what you learned in your heart and what you learned in here and what you learned in here, and that'll take you just so far. So I'm excited to see what these kids do. I had some of them in middle school still. I coached some of them, and I know their families, so congratulations, the class of 2026. I'm excited to see what you do beyond. There are some things, some countries I've been to that no matter what they do, they will never overcome the challenges of that country. Just the air they breathe is toxic. You know, I can't tell you how many things we breathed in. The civil unrest, the bombings. I mean, you drive by bombed out houses that had just been blown apart, and they got rebuilt and they get blown apart again. Fortunately, I watched some of these, you know, get blown apart while we were there as the Iran war kicked off, and there was a Syrian civil war while we were there. It's just, we don't have that. You know, we have safety and stability, and I just hope that people continue to recognize and take advantage of and never miss a moment of the vast opportunity that you can truly be anything you want to be. And I get, right, there are limitations of cognitive ability and race and ethnic challenges and economic challenges. I understand all that, but this system still works and it's still awesome, and I hope people try to find a way to use that and overcome, because I've seen it. I've seen it here, and when we moved to like a 70-80% poverty district, and I've seen kids break those cycles, and so it can be done. And I saw it while I was there in another country. I saw other people working hard to change and make their country awesome, and so find a way to do that. Religion in the military is unique. So when I was a pastor here at Trinity Friends Church in Richland for like 15 years, awesome experience. Love those folks. Like, they are amazing, but they are pretty much like me, white middle class. You know, most of them grew up in Southeast Iowa. Good, hardworking, salt of the earth folks. You get into the military, they're not all like you. I mean, I had a guy here from Ghana to my right side, and a guy from Puerto Rico on my left side. They're Iowans, I mean, but they came here differently than I grew up, and so the Puerto Rican didn't speak very much English. There was a lot of Spanish, and the Ghana guy, you know, hardest working guy I've ever seen. I trust him with my life, you know, but you know, could barely read. So I spent some time teaching them to read. They all bring religious understanding differently in that. And so my job as a chaplain was always to bring whatever religion they followed into their faith, and not necessarily just my own. And at first I was nervous about this, because I thought it was like being exposed to COVID or something. Like I was going to catch it, right? Like I'm going to be talking to this Muslim, and then all of a sudden I'm going to be following Islam. And it was the opposite. I talked to so many Muslims, especially in the Middle East, and we had such great conversations. We have so much in common. But at the end, I found my faith in Christianity stronger and better for that. And I think we need to have these discourses and these conversations with people that aren't like us. And I think we're so afraid of it, but I wish people would lean into it, because you can become so strong in what you understand based on the differences that they bring, and just loving them where they are. And there's a saying that there's no atheists in foxholes. Totally true. When we started seeing drones come in and explode to our base, and seeing Iranian missiles fall, all of a sudden my work like quadrupled. I mean, there were guys who were like, I don't ever want to see you, chap. You know, I like you, you're a nice guy, but keep your religion thing over there, to like, hey, tell me more about this at 2 a.m. while we're sitting in a bunker, not sure if we're going to come out. And what I found was guys weren't really afraid for their own life. They were afraid they were never going to get to see their wives again, their children again, never go back to their home again. And that was real fear. They thought, well, I can't put my wife through that. I need to find something that I can hold on to eternally. And so a lot of people came to Christ through that, and came to faith through that. And I saw a lot of journeys and the growth that, I mean, we had 15 different Bible study leaders that I was kind of mentoring over 3 different sites with over 300 different participants each week, and just hearing the growth and seeing them. But to me, like, it's watching. I can deliver that, and and I got to do chapel and I gave sermons, and that was great. But watching other people grow and them develop as leaders, that's as I see and as I read faith, that's what we should be doing, right? Going out and making disciples. And so to be able to watch that and see that, and that's what I love about education, seeing people as they will be, not as they are. And I think both things, to me, I've never seen my faith and public education as separate. Even though I understand the difference between church and state, I see them together. And regardless of what your faith is, I think everybody should have faith in something. Without it, it's real lonely, and it does make the world a scary place. And I love to see it when they mesh and how it all comes together. I hope people realize how special of a place this is, and the opportunity to grow here is, and just be involved in the community. I do hope that people volunteer at track meets, or if you don't play a sport, manage one. It's not all about athletics, it's about connecting. And speech, man, I see what the speech team's doing here. It's awesome. I didn't do speech in high school. I should have, man. Like, I speak all the time. Why didn't I do speech? Just get involved. And if you're not a student right now, and you're a graduate and you're just a community member, find a way to plug in. You know, can you donate some time here? Do you have a skill? I mean, I've known Mr. Harper for a long time. I remember when he was a middle school principal, like when I was a kid, and then I got to serve with him in the military, and I worked under him and with him. And I guarantee if you have a skill and you want to do something, Dave Harper will find a way, you know. So get connected. Flood his email box right now. I'll give you his number. No, I won't do that, Dave. If you have concerns, share them, you know, appropriately. People want to get better. You know, there's not a person in these doors that doesn't want to be better at their craft, and they're open to that. Do it in a way that's loving, and man, just pray for your teachers. Pray for your students. It's not easy. Education has a huge burnout rate, and it's never been harder to be a teacher and an educator. I want to say it was 4 or 5 years ago, there were 4 teachers that retired, all elementary teachers. I think they had a combined 102 years of service or something. It was like, I don't know, it was amazing, right? It was like 20, 30, 40 years each, and I don't know that that's going to happen in the future. I hope it does, but it won't if we don't come beside them and encourage them and just tell them how valuable they are and how much they mean to our kids. So for anybody out there in education, whether you're the bus driver, the cook, the janitor, or the teacher, thanks for what you do. It's just, it's impactful. It means a lot. It meant a lot to me. I think about the lunch ladies that used to sneak me extra food when I was a grown boy. You know, that was awesome. I think about just Inky Garrels. You know, I don't know if Inky's still around. He was our activity bus driver, and he was a janitor. Just his son John was in my class. Just his interactions, like, it made my day better. Every interaction matters. Every student needs a caring adult. Every kid needs a caring adult. It needs to be someone, and so find that caring adult and just be that person. As always, go Panthers.